Hi, my name is Noel-Christian Smith, and I chose the topic of why police reform is so important. I chose this topic in the hope of bringing awareness to the problems within the police department. First, I'd like to start off with some word association. If you don't know what word association is, I will say a word, and you would tell me the connection you have with the word I just said. So this is the first word, police officer. What do you guys think when you hear the word police officer?
Speeding. Getting pulled over. Getting arrested.
Okay. I'm not going to speak for all Black people, but personally, as an African American, some of the words I associate with police officers are brave, trustworthy, but I also think of them as cowards and untrustworthy. There are many opinions people have on police reform. Some people think it is necessary, others think otherwise. I'm here today to tell you that police reform is very important and very necessary. 335 people have been killed by police in 2021 so far. Being African American and hearing about a shooting of a Black person almost every day is very scary. At this point, I've lost track of all the killings that have happened, and it just feels like a continuing cycle that will never end. At the time that I wrote the script, there have been only 3 days so far in 2021 where someone was not killed by the police. That alone should convince you that we need police reform. Police are killing innocent people, mostly minorities, at an alarming rate. Some people think that the killings that have occurred by police is solely because of the crime rate in the U.S. cities. However, that is just not the case. Levels of violent crime in the U.S. cities do not determine rates of police violence. Right, so most of you have heard of the George Floyd murder that occurred. If you haven't, then you probably live under a rock, but I'm gonna kind of give you a summary of everything that happened. So the death of George Floyd has caught the attention of many people around the world. Police advocated and protested day and night to obtain justice and push towards police reform due to the wrongful murder of George Floyd. It was May 25th when Minneapolis police arrested Floyd after it had been reported that he used a counterfeit $20 bill at a convenience store. After 17 minutes, when the squad car arrived, the situation escalated and Floyd was pinned to the ground beneath 3 officers. One of the officers putting his knee on Floyd's neck. For more than 9 minutes, Floyd lay there crying out for his mother while trying to explain to the officer that he cannot breathe. The officer who did not respond stayed there with the knee on his neck, picking rocks out of his tire. This is not how a police officer is supposed to act. Never should someone have a knee on their neck for 9 minutes because of a possible counterfeit bill. This is a perfect example of why police reform is needed. We also need to hold more police officers accountable. Police will beat around the bush in situations like these and say that the reason George Floyd died was because he was on drugs or he had health issues before, which is extremely insignificant in this situation. So here's just like some stats. 98.3% of killings by police from 2013 to 2020 have not resulted in officers being charged with the crime. This shows how overlooked police crime is. Black people are also 3 times more likely to be killed by police than a white person. So what do we need to do to try and solve this issue? 2 words, police reform. And one of the ways to do that is defunding the police. Now what I want to do is another word association. Defunding the police. What are some words that come to mind when you hear that phrase?
Literally taking money away, I guess.
Anarchy. Positive reform.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. The phrase defunding the police has gotten a lot of negative attention over the past few months because a lot of people have misconceptions about what it really means. The meaning of defunding the police is simple. It means to redirect some of the funding away from the police and to other government agencies that are funded. So defund does not in any way mean abolish policing. Instead, it means redistributing funding to underfunded services such as housing, mental health care, and employment. So next I want to discuss why the police were created. In the North, the police force was very informal and originated for profit. In most towns, people would pick a day and sign up for a night watch. So it's basically volunteer work. The system was not efficient or done well because oftenly the volunteers would sleep or get drunk at night. The night watchers were watched and supervised by constables, but the night watchers didn't wear badges because they didn't want to be seen as someone who was disliked by people. In the South, it was a little bit different. The police force in the South was originated around the slavery system. The police were meant to chase runaway slaves and stop slave revolts. Okay, and then the good cops and bad cops. One of the best ways to obtain police reform is bring in the good cops. In the police force are a lot of corrupt racist police officers. Currently in Philadelphia, there is a shortage of police officers. People have come out and said that they would never take the job as a police officer due to the negative kind of look it has right now. This is completely fair due to the time that we are in. However, we still need police officers. So it's important that we change the way we recruit police officers and the image of them. Some people think that if you want to try and improve the profession and try to solve the problem, instead of standing on the sidelines and complaining about police officers, you should become one and see the change you want to see. It has also been seen that the police force is now hesitant and aren't engaging in the way they should. One of the prime examples of this is a veteran of 17 years at the Chicago Police Department. There's a specific situation where she knew she was supposed to shoot the attacker, but hesitated because she didn't want her family to go through scrutiny the next days on national news. And police don't want to hesitate in situations like these, but they fear of being judged unfairly. So in conclusion, personally and from my standpoint, the change that I want to see is that people of color don't have to worry about being racially profiled. In my future generations, I don't want my kids, if I ever have kids, to worry about things that I have to worry about, and having to talk with my kids, which is basically always never wear your hood while you're driving, and just things that you shouldn't have to tell your kids.